Some people think math, physics, and logic are only for those with a so-called math brain. Like, this stuff is pointless, I'm never going to use it in real life anyway. But honestly, that's just the easy way out. You bought into the lie, the idea that none of it matters because you don't see the use right now, that anything abstract must be useless. But the world doesn't really care about what feels comfortable to you. Take physics. It was never just about memorizing dry equations. It's always been this raw, powerful way of making sense of the universe. And once you start to get it, it changes you. When Richard Feynman taught physics, it wasn't the chalkboard that moved. It was your mind. He didn't just explain how the world works. He showed it, made the invisible feel real, took something insanely complex and laid it out in a single, clean stroke, like an artist. But instead of paint, his tools were space-time, atoms, and the wild chaos that somehow follows rules. And when you watched him, you felt it. It wasn't about cramming formulas into your head. It was about learning how to think. Not everyone can handle the beauty of scientific thinking, because it doesn't just hand itself over. It asks for something in return: curiosity, discipline, imagination, and the guts to sit with confusion for a while. But if you stick with it, you find out that real understanding, deep understanding, hits harder than any quick fix of shallow entertainment. Take Carl Sagan. He turned the universe into a kind of cosmic opera. But here's what most people miss. He wasn't just being poetic. He was sharp, precise. He didn't just make it sound beautiful, he made it clear. Because once you can understand something, not understanding it starts to feel unbearable. Science doesn't just teach facts. It trains your mind to think in structure, to see clearly, to reason with precision. And when you learn to handle complexity with that kind of clarity, you're not just full of ideas, you actually know how to think. That's where real intelligence comes from. Not talent, not some natural gift, but training. Pushing through hard problems, learning to sit with what you don't know, until your brain starts to see. It's the kind of thinking that lets you build, decide, lead. And yeah, there's no shortcut to that. The world today rewards quick reactions, fast takes, instant answers. We're trained to swipe, not to focus. But Feynman used to say, the real reward is in understanding what no one else does. Not out of vanity, but because it changes you. A mind that's been trained to think deeply doesn't fall for empty words. In Dialogue Concerning Two New Sciences, Galileo described an experiment he never even had to do. He didn't need to drop anything, because it had already played out in his mind. Two objects, different weights, same height, they fall together. And he knew that, just by thinking, pure logic, like hearing a symphony without a single sound. But somewhere along the way, society, lazy and hooked on shortcuts, turned real knowledge into a stereotype. It became a meme. The scientist, just some weirdo. The thinker, arrogant. The curious one, wasting time. And while all that's happening, you're stuck drowning in a sea of information with no idea how to swim from one thought to the next. Here's the truth. Understanding science, math, physics, it's not some special gift. It's a language. And if you never learned it, it's not because it's boring or irrelevant. It's because no one ever showed you how to really see it. And yeah, it takes patience. Thinking is hard work. But it gives you something real. Not for school, not for some useless test. It gives you a mind that's actually ready for whatever you decide to do with your life. Don't let some bad experience at school stop you from seeing what most people totally miss. Want to stand out? Then stop running away from the abstract stuff. Start leaning into the complex. Think of your brain like clay, and train your thinking like you're sculpting something epic. That's exactly what people like Steve Jobs, Warren Buffett, Newton, Galileo, all of them did. They weren't trying to look smart, they just didn't settle for a lazy mind. And you? Still chasing only what feels good in the moment? Or are you finally ready to outgrow that shallow version of yourself? Because here's the thing. Understanding is feeling, but with your brain. Most people stay on the surface, but you
can still go deep.